Mathematicians, let's talk about the opposite of positive numbers. Positive numbers are also called whole numbers. They're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 15, 100. What is the opposite of 100? Okay, it's a negative number. Negative numbers are always less than 0, and they're located to the left or below of 0 on a number line. So if you're looking at a horizontal number line, here is 0. And 0 kind of acts like a mirror. If we have 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side, we're going to put the opposite, -1, -2, -3, -4 on the other side. If we have a vertical one, 0 acts as like our middle of the number line. Positive numbers go up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative numbers, the opposite of positive numbers, go down. Think of it like plus and minus. They're opposite operations. Positives and negatives are opposite numbers. And when we are talking about 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3, those are called integers. So they are whole numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're opposites. Integers do not include fractions and decimals. That's called rational numbers. That includes all of those. So positive numbers, the opposite of a positive, the opposite of +3 is -3. The opposite of a negative is a positive. The number itself does not change when you flip the opposites. It's the sign that's changing. It was positive, it's now negative. Negative numbers always have a minus sign that's telling us it's negative in the front of a number. So like this one here says -9. This here says 9 minus a number that I forgot to write. This is not correct. This is. Positive numbers can have a plus sign, like +12, or no sign at all, because if you tell me you're 12, I'm assuming you've been alive for positive 12 years, not the opposite of 12 years, which really you can't be alive for anyway. So no sign or plus sign, both of those mean positive. There is one number that is not positive or negative, and it's the number that doesn't have an opposite, or is its own opposite. What number do you only see one time on these number lines? It's 0. 0 is its own opposite. It's not positive or negative. It's just its special own nothingness. All right, let's do a few practice problems. The opposite of 7. I don't see a minus sign, so I'm assuming that is positive, because if there's no sign, it's positive. So the opposite of +7 is -7. What's the opposite of -99? I can choose to write it as +99 with a plus sign, or just plain old 99, because that is also positive. What's the opposite of 12 and 3/10? The 12 and 3/10 is not changing. It's just the fact that this used to be positive and now is going to be negative. The opposite of -1/3 is going to be +1/3 with a plus sign, or just written as 1/3. So these two are called integers, whole numbers and their opposites. These two are called rational numbers because they include fractions or decimals. Whichever way you call it, the opposite is still the same exact number, flipping the sign. Now, if you don't read carefully, you are going to get some problems wrong, because today we're also going to talk about the opposite of the opposite. For example, what is the opposite of -4? Well, the opposite of -4 is +4. But the opposite of that is back to -4. So the opposite of the opposite means you're flipping it to the opposite operation and then flipping it again. So you need to be really careful when you're reading if it says the opposite or if it says the opposite of the opposite. We can also represent that in negative signs. There it is. So for example, this right here. You start at the innermost parentheses, at this -12 right here. every negative sign means the opposite of. So the opposite of negative 12 is positive 12. The opposite of positive 12 is negative 12. The opposite of negative 12 is back to positive 12. So this whole thing equals positive 12. Watch for your negatives. Make sure you're telling yourself, okay, the opposite of this is positive. The opposite of this is negative. Take your time and good luck.